Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. John Maffey,
And I'm Meg Spirta.
and we are from the Student Counseling Center at Silver University. And today we're going to be checking in with ourselves with self-care and the importance of paying attention to how we feel.
So back in April of this year, we put out our first video, which was self-care while distancing. We talked about meeting our basic needs, identifying emotions, focusing on what we can control, being kind to ourselves, and developing coping skills. We've all been doing life a little bit differently for the past 7 months. And likely many of us have fallen into a routine of that new normal. But still, there are some of us who are struggling to figure out how this time should be structured. And we think that it's just as important now as it was 7 months ago to pay attention to what our bodies and emotions are trying to tell us.
So following up what Meg just talked about, like our basic needs and meeting those, there's a great acronym that we use, HALT, right? And that stands for hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. And this is a very small, quick assessment you can do to yourself or even ask a friend, tell them, hey, halt. Um, and so check in, because all these things have influence on the way that we're functioning. If we're hungry, we could be more irritable, more snippy, we could be have lower energy, things like that. Angry, if we're upset at ourselves, at a person, at a class, lonely? Are we getting that social interaction? And that's, I know, is one of the bigger ones in this time. And how are we getting that? How are we staying connected with those individuals? And are you tired? Right? Tired kind of has a lot of the same symptoms of being hungry. We get more irritable. We might just feel very fatigued and just low energy. Are we getting that enough sleep and things like that? So these four basic things to check in on. A lot of times we can see maybe we're missing a component of that and where we could be better at.
So, along with what John was saying, asking yourself these check-in questions: what's wrong? Um, and is there something that I can do about it to change my attitude? Like I said before, talking about focusing on what you can control. Maybe I can't change the situation or the way that I feel, but is there something that I can do in the moment to change my attitude towards it? And then ask yourself also what's right. You don't need to dissect that in any way, really just kind of bring it to your attention. And try writing some of this stuff down or talking about it out loud, even if just to yourself. Kind of bringing it outside of your own head helps us make it more tangible and real.
Along with those check-in questions that Meg brought up, we talk about something that we can do in what we call an emotional timeline, right? And a lot of this is due to the changes from when our lives were not affected by quarantine to being in quarantine and all these changes, right? So thinking about it, or you can even write this down if you wanted to, is how have emotions changed during quarantine? Kind of looking at that, how are things pre-quarantine? How are things after quarantine? How are things in the middle of quarantine? And kind of looking at, what emotions emerge, how things have maybe changed. Uh, do things seem better or worse? How, right? Now I know probably a lot of you are saying, well, things are just completely worse. But there's some other parts where, things may be better, a time of self-reflection, and things like that. And those are things that we can look at, to kind of see where our own personal growth has come into. Kind of taking a situation at face value and handling it in a way, so we can see kind of how changes in our life has affected us in some way. Identify what has and has not been effective, right? So there's things that we've all tried, and we've found out that it just didn't work, right? And so those are things that kind of look back on, or even just notice and say, okay, I've done this, and it just didn't work for me. Maybe it worked for a friend or somebody else in my life, but not for me. And then you can kind of harness those things that are effective for you and keep on utilizing those types of skills.
And in addition to checking in with yourself, check in with your friends too. Have some of these conversations about what's going well for you, what's going well for them, and ways that you both can modify or learn from each other. And as always, talk to somebody. So whether that is a friend or Student Counseling Center, student support, or health services are available for all students as well. So our email and phone number are on there as well. We are open Mondays and Tuesdays 10 to 6:30, and Wednesdays through Fridays 8 to 4:30, with our walk-in hours from 10 to 4 every day. And then also we want to encourage you guys to check out that video that I was talking about at the beginning from back in April. That would be on our YouTube page as well, self-care while distancing, because I think there's still a lot of really good information that you can get from that. So as always, thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next time.